Captain Kim Tae-ho stood on the bridge of the starship New Seoul and watched the stars through the main screen. 3 weeks had passed since they left Earth's solar system. This was humanity's first journey to distant stars. The ship hummed quietly as it moved through space at faster than light speed. "Captain, we are getting close to the target system," said Choi Yuna from her station. She was the communications officer and had been watching the sensors all morning. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as she checked the readings again. Kim nodded and walked to the center of the bridge. He was a tall man with dark hair and steady eyes. At 42 years old, he had spent most of his life preparing for this moment. Humanity had finally built ships that could travel between stars. After so many years of dreaming about it, they were really doing it. "Take us out of light speed," Kim ordered. "Let's see what we found." The ship slowed down and the stars stopped moving. In front of them was a yellow star with several planets around it. The third planet looked blue and green, much like Earth. Kim felt excited. Maybe they had found another world where life could grow. "Run a full scan of the system," Kim said to Lee Han-sol, the tactical officer. Lee was younger than Kim, but very smart. His job was to watch for any dangers. "Yes, Captain," Lee replied. His hands moved over his control panel. "I'm picking up something strange. There are metal objects near the fourth planet. They look like ships." Kim felt his heart beat faster. Ships meant other intelligent life. This was what they had hoped to find, but also what they feared. "How many ships?" "I count 50. No, wait, more are appearing." "Captain, there are over 200 ships out there. They're huge. Much bigger than ours." The bridge became very quiet. Everyone stopped what they were doing and looked at the main screen. Slowly, the image changed to show the alien ships. They were enormous, like floating cities made of dark metal. Each one was at least 10 times bigger than the New Seoul. "They've seen us," Choi Yuna said in a worried voice. "I'm getting a signal from them." "Put it on the main speakers," Kim ordered. He straightened his uniform and prepared to meet aliens for the first time in human history. A deep voice filled the bridge. It spoke in perfect English, though it sounded strange and cold. "Unknown vessel, you have entered space that belongs to the Valorian hegemony. State your purpose immediately." Kim looked at his crew. Park Soo-jin, the chief engineer, gave him a small nod. She was a brave woman who had helped build the engines that brought them here. The others also looked ready to support whatever he decided to do. "This is Captain Kim Tae-ho of the Earthship New Seoul," he said clearly. "We come in peace. We are explorers from the planet Earth. We wish to make contact with other intelligent species." There was a long pause. Then the alien voice spoke again, and this time it sounded amused. "Earth, we have no record of this world. You will surrender your ship immediately and prepare to be boarded. All crew members will be taken for questioning. Resistance will result in the destruction of your vessel." Kim felt anger rise in his chest. These aliens were treating humans like they were nothing. They acted like they owned all of space and could order anyone around. "I'm sorry, but we cannot surrender our ship. We have done nothing wrong. We are peaceful explorers." "Peaceful?" The alien voice laughed, but it was not a pleasant sound. "All species say they are peaceful when they first meet us. It does not matter. You will obey the hegemony or you will die. This is how it has always been." Lee Han-sol whispered to Kim. "Captain, more ships are coming. I count at least 500 now. They're surrounding us." Kim looked at the screen and saw the truth. The alien ships were moving into a circle around the New Seoul. Each ship had weapons that could destroy his small vessel easily. But Kim had not come this far to give up at the first sign of trouble. "Open a channel to Earth," he told Choi Yuna. "Send everything we've recorded back home. Make sure they know what happened here." "Channel open, Captain." Kim took a deep breath. "Earth Command, this is Captain Kim Tae-ho. We have made contact with an alien empire called the Valorian Hegemony. They demand our surrender and claim to own this part of space. We are refusing their demands. The crew of the New Seoul will not bow to any alien power. Tell Admiral Yoon that humanity must prepare for what might come next." The alien voice spoke again, and now it sounded angry. "You dare to refuse? No species has ever defied the hegemony. We have ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. Countless worlds kneel before our power." "Then you've never met humans before," Kim replied calmly. "We don't kneel to anyone." "You will learn," the alien said. "I am Ambassador Veltar Cross of the Valorian Hegemony. I give your species 1 solar cycle to reconsider. Bring us tribute and accept our rule, or we will bring our full military force to your world. Your Earth will burn, and your people will serve us as slaves." Kim felt his crew tense around him. The threat was clear, but he also felt something else growing inside him. It was the same feeling that had driven humans to explore dangerous oceans and climb high mountains. It was the refusal to be conquered. "Ambassador Cross," Kim said, "you can take your threats back to whoever leads your empire. Tell them that Earth will never surrender. If you want to fight us, then come and try. But know this, we humans have been fighting for our whole history. We've fought nature, we've fought each other, and we've always survived. You might be bigger than us, but size isn't everything." The alien ships began to move away, but Kim knew this was not over. It was just the beginning. The new soul turned and began the long journey back to Earth. They had to warn everyone. Humanity's first contact with aliens had become humanity's first war. Admiral Yoon Jae-wook sat in the war room deep inside Earth's military headquarters. The message from Captain Kim had arrived 3 days ago, and since then nobody had been sleeping much. Around the table sat the most important military leaders on Earth. General Song Mi-kyung commanded the ground forces. Fleet Commander Bae Jun-ho was in charge of all human spaceships. Chief Scientist Ryu Haiwan knew more about alien technology than anyone else. "Show me the recordings again," Admiral Yoon said to his assistant. The holographic display lit up in the center of the room. They could see the massive alien ships surrounding the small new Soul. The ships looked like dark metal mountains floating in space. "Those ships are at least 2 kilometers long," said Commander Bae. He pointed at the largest vessel. "Our biggest warship is only 300 meters. They could fit 10 of our ships inside one of theirs." General Song leaned forward and studied the images. "Size isn't everything in a fight. But look at those energy signatures. Their shields are incredibly strong. Our regular weapons won't even scratch them." "That's what worries me most," said Scientist Ryu. She had been working without sleep for 2 days, trying to understand Valorian technology. "Their energy shields can stop plasma weapons, laser beams, and missile explosions. Most species in the galaxy probably use those kinds of weapons. That's why the Valorians have been winning for 10,000 years. Admiral Yoon rubbed his tired eyes. "But we're not like most species, are we? What do we have that's different?" Ryu smiled for the first time in days. "Kinetic weapons, Admiral. Good old-fashioned bullets and shells, but much bigger and faster. Most advanced species stopped using physical projectiles long ago. They think energy weapons are more civilized. But our railguns and mass drivers can punch through energy shields like they're not even there." The room became quiet as everyone thought about this. Humans had always been good at finding ways to hurt each other. While other species developed peaceful technologies, humans had spent centuries perfecting the art of war. "How long do we have?" asked General Song. "Captain Kim's ship will reach Earth in 18 days, replied Commander Bae. "If the aliens keep their promise, we have maybe a month before they come here." "That's not much time to prepare." Admiral Yoon stood up and walked to the window. Outside he could see the busy shipyards where workers were building new vessels day and night. "Then we better get started. Ryu, I want every kinetic weapon we have modified for space combat. Make them bigger, make them faster." "Bae, how many ships can we have ready in 3 weeks? If we push everyone to work around the clock, maybe 200 combat vessels. They won't be pretty, but they'll fight. That's what I want to hear. Song, start training ground forces for ship-to-ship combat. If we can board their vessels, our soldiers will have an advantage in close fighting." The weeks that followed were the busiest in human history. Every shipyard on Earth and Mars worked without stopping. The asteroid belt miners brought metal as fast as they could. Scientists worked on new weapons while soldiers trained for space combat. Captain Kim and the new Soul arrived at Earth to find it transformed. The planet was surrounded by defense platforms and newly built warships. Kim reported to Admiral Yoon immediately. "The aliens are coming, Admiral," Kim said. "I could see their ships following us at a distance. They want to see how many vessels we have and where our defenses are." "Let them look," Yoon replied. "We have something they've never seen before. Lieutenant Oh Dong-wook has been training our best pilots. Show him, Lieutenant." Oh Dong-wook was a small, quick man who moved like a fighter. "Admiral, we've been studying the alien ship recordings. Their weapons are powerful but slow to turn. Their ships are huge but not very fast. We can use smaller, faster ships to attack them from different directions." "Like wolves hunting a bear," said General Song with approval. "Exactly. We hit them, move away, hit them from somewhere else. They'll get confused and angry. Angry enemies make mistakes." 2 days later, the alien scouts arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. There were 5 Valorian ships, each one massive and threatening. They sent a message to Earth demanding surrender. Admiral Yoon answered personally. "This is Admiral Yoon Jae-wook of Earth Defense Forces. You are not welcome in our system. Leave now or face the consequences." The alien commander laughed. "I am War Leader Corvin Zal. We have studied your pathetic defenses. You have 200 small ships against our mighty fleet that follows behind us. Surrender now and some of your people may live as our servants." "We decline your generous offer," Yoon replied calmly. "Oh, and War Leader, you might want to count our ships again." At that moment, Admiral Yoon gave a signal. All around the solar system, human ships that had been hiding behind asteroids and moons suddenly appeared. The aliens had counted the obvious vessels but missed the hidden ones. Instead of 200 ships, Earth had over 400 vessels ready to fight. "Impossible," the alien commander shouted. "Your technology cannot hide ships from our sensors." "You're right," said Lieutenant O with a grin that the aliens couldn't see. "We didn't hide them with technology. We just put them where you wouldn't think to look. Behind rocks." The alien ships began charging their weapons, but the human fleet was already moving. Oh Dong-wook led a squadron of fast fighters toward the alien vessels. The Valorians fired their big guns, but the human ships were too quick and small to hit easily. "Remember," O said to his pilots over the radio, "we're not trying to destroy them yet. We're just showing them that this won't be easy. Hit and run. Make them chase us." The first battle between humans and aliens had begun. The Valorians had bigger ships and stronger weapons, but humans had something they didn't expect. Humans had been fighting each other for thousands of years. They knew how to think like warriors. They knew how to turn size and strength against itself. As the alien ships tried to catch the fast human fighters, Admiral Yoon smiled grimly. The real war was still coming, but at least now the aliens knew they had picked a fight with the wrong species. Commander Young Soo-bin watched the enemy fleet approach through the bridge windows of her heavy cruiser, Incheon's Pride. The Valorian ships looked like floating cities made of dark metal. Each one was massive and covered with weapons that could destroy planets. But Young was not afraid. She had trained her whole life for this moment. "All ships, this is Young Soo-bin," she spoke into her communication device. "Remember what we practiced. Stay close to each other. Watch each other's backs. We're outnumbered, but we're not outfought." Captain Nam Ki-young's voice came back over the radio from his ship, the Daegu Thunder. "We're ready, Commander. My crew is eager to show these aliens what humans can do." Captain Shin Bora commanded the Soul's Revenge and had the youngest crew in the fleet. "My people are scared," she admitted, "but they're angry too. These aliens think they can just take our home. They're about to learn they're wrong." The battle was taking place near Jupiter. The gas giant spun slowly behind the human fleet, its red storms looking like angry eyes. The Valorian fleet had 50 ships. The humans had only 17 vessels in this group, but Admiral Yoon had chosen these ships carefully. They were the fastest and strongest vessels humanity had built. "Enemy ships are targeting us," reported Lieutenant Park from the weapons station. "They're charging their main guns." Young looked at her crew. These were good people who had left their families to defend Earth. Engineer Won Kyung-soo was only 23 years old, but could fix anything that broke. Pilot Lim Sang-ho had been flying ships since he was a teenager. Navigator Kim Hyo-jin could find her way through any star system. "All power to engines and shields," Young ordered. "When I give the signal, we attack together. Don't try to be heroes. Stick to the plan." The Valorian ships fired first. Beams of pure energy shot across space toward the human vessels. The beams were bright enough to hurt your eyes and powerful enough to cut through solid rock. But the human ships were already moving. "Now," Young shouted. The human fleet split into 3 groups and attacked from different directions. Young's group went straight at the center of the alien formation. Nam Ki-young's ships attacked from the left side. Shinbora's vessels came from the right. The aliens had expected the humans to stay together and fight like a traditional space battle. Instead, the humans fought like a pack of wolves. "Fire kinetic torpedoes," Young commanded. The Incheon's Pride launched 6 metal projectiles at incredible speed. These weren't energy weapons that the alien shields could stop. These were solid chunks of metal moving faster than bullets. When they hit the Valorian ships, they punched right through the energy barriers and smashed into the hull underneath. "Direct hit," shouted Lieutenant Park. "The enemy ship is losing atmosphere." All around the battle area, human ships were firing their kinetic weapons. The aliens had never faced this kind of attack before. Their shields were useless against solid objects moving at such high speeds. For the first time in thousands of years, Valorian ships were being damaged in battle. But the aliens were not helpless. Their ships might be slow, but they had very powerful weapons. A beam of energy hit Nam Ki-young's ship and cut through the armor like it was paper. The Daegu thunder started spinning out of control. "This is Nam Ki-young," his voice came over the radio, filled with static. "We've lost main power. Engine room is on fire. We're going to ram the closest alien ship. Tell my wife I love her." Jung watched in horror as the Daegu thunder turned toward a massive Valorian vessel. The alien ship tried to move away, but it was too big and slow. Nam's ship crashed into the enemy vessel at full speed. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the space around Jupiter. "Nam!" Jung screamed, but her friend was gone. The fury that filled her heart was like nothing she had ever felt. These aliens had come to her home and killed her friends. Now she would make them pay. "All ships target the big one in the center," she commanded. "Pour everything we have into it." The remaining human vessels focused their fire on the largest Valorian ship. It was over 3 kilometers long and had enough weapons to destroy a city, but under the combined attack of 16 human ships, its shields began to fail. On the alien command ship, Admiral Zontar Vel could not believe what he was seeing. His mighty fleet was being hurt by tiny primitive vessels. These humans fought with a viciousness that shocked him. When one of their ships was destroyed, the others became more dangerous, not less. "Target their civilian stations," he ordered his subordinates. "If we kill their families, they will surrender." The Valorian ships turned their weapons toward a space station where human families lived and worked. The station had no weapons and no shields. It was full of children and old people who could not fight. When Jung saw what the aliens were planning, she felt her blood turn to ice. "All ships protect the station. Get between them and the civilians." Pilot Kang Min-seo was flying a small fighter near the station. She saw the alien weapon charging up to fire at the helpless people inside. Without thinking, she turned her ship toward the massive enemy vessel. "This is Kang Min-seo," she said calmly over the radio. "I'm going to stop them. Take care of my little brother for me." Her fighter was tiny compared to the alien ship, but she flew it straight at the enemy weapon. The aliens fired their beam at the station, but Kang's ship was in the way. The energy hit her fighter and destroyed it instantly, but it also damaged the alien weapon. The beam meant to kill thousands of civilians instead just made a small hole in the station's outer wall. Jung felt tears on her face, but she also felt pride. Humans like Kang Min-seo were why they would win this war. The aliens had bigger ships and stronger weapons, but they didn't have the human spirit. They didn't have people willing to die for their families and friends. "Focus fire on the ship that tried to kill civilians," Jung ordered. Her voice was cold as space itself. "Show them what happens when they threaten our people." The human fleet turned all their weapons on that one alien vessel. Kinetic torpedoes smashed through its hull. The ship tried to retreat, but it was too damaged. Explosions ran along its length like a string of firecrackers. Finally, the massive vessel broke apart and died in the cold of space. Admiral Zontar Vel watched his flagship die and felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. These humans were not like other species. When you hurt them, they became more dangerous. When you killed their friends, they fought harder. When you threatened their families, they turned into demons. "Retreat," he commanded. "All ships withdraw from the system immediately." The surviving Valorian ships turned and fled toward the edge of the solar system. They had come expecting easy victory over primitive aliens. Instead, they had been beaten by creatures who refused to give up. Jung watched the alien ships disappear and felt hollow inside. They had won the battle, but the cost had been terrible. Good people like Nam Ki-young and Kang Min-seo were dead, but their sacrifice had shown the galaxy something important. Humans would fight to the end to protect what they loved. No empire, no matter how big or old, could break that determination. Captain Lim Woo-jin sat in the dark intelligence room beneath Seoul, reading alien messages that his team had intercepted. The screens around him showed star charts and enemy ship movements. For 2 weeks, his people had been listening to Valorian communications across the galaxy. What they learned was both exciting and terrifying. "The aliens are panicking," said his assistant Hong Ye-rin. She was the best codebreaker on Earth and could understand alien languages better than anyone. "Listen to this message we caught from their homeworld." Hong played the recording. Even though it was translated, the alien voices sounded worried and confused. "Supreme Overlord Cresvin, more demands to know how a primitive species defeated our 7th Scouting Fleet. Grand Admiral, Texlarzun is gathering the entire 7th Battle Fleet, over 1,000 ships are being prepared for the final assault on the human system. Lim felt his stomach drop. 1,000 ships. The humans had barely survived fighting 50 alien vessels. Now 10 times that number were coming to finish them off. There's more, Hong continued. The aliens are also getting reports from other parts of their empire. Some of the species they conquered are starting to rebel. They heard about us fighting back and now they want to fight too. That's good news and bad news, Lim said. Good because the aliens have to deal with other problems. Bad because they'll be even more angry when they get here. He stood up and walked to the main display screen. It showed the Valorian Empire spread across hundreds of star systems. Each dot of light represented worlds with billions of alien creatures who had been forced to serve the hegemony. Now some of those worlds were rising up. Send this information to Admiral Yoon immediately, Lim ordered. He needs to know what's coming. Meanwhile, in the orbital shipyards above Earth, engineer Seo Hyunwoo was working on humanity's secret weapon. His team had been developing new kinetic torpedoes based on what they learned from the first battle. The weapons were bigger and faster than anything humans had built before. The key is the magnetic field, Seo explained to his assistants as they assembled another torpedo. The alien shields work by stopping energy, but our torpedoes use magnetism to spin while they fly. The spinning motion lets them punch through energy barriers like a drill going through wood. Young engineer Cho Min-jun looked at the torpedo with amazement. How fast do they go? Fast enough to cross from Earth to the moon in 10 minutes, Seo replied with a grin. When these hit an alien ship, they'll go right through the shield, through the hull, and out the other side. The aliens won't know what hit them. On the military base where soldiers trained for space combat, Marine Colonel An Ji-hai was teaching her troops how to fight inside alien ships. The training room was built to look like the inside of a Valorian vessel, based on images captured during the first battle. Remember, she told her Marines, the aliens are bigger and stronger than us, but they're not used to close combat. For 10,000 years, they've won their battles by shooting from far away. When we get inside their ships, we'll have the advantage. Sergeant Kim Do-hyun raised his hand. Colonel, what if they have weapons we haven't seen before? Then we adapt, An replied firmly. Humans are good at adapting. That's how we survived ice ages and plagues and wars. We figure out what works and we do it. The aliens have been winning the same way for thousands of years. They don't know how to change when something new happens. Above Earth's orbit, the construction work never stopped. Shipbuilders worked in shifts around the clock, welding metal and installing weapons. The ships they built were not beautiful like the vessels in old movies. They were rough and functional, designed for one purpose: killing alien invaders. Captain Park Chung-ho commanded one of the new destroyers called the Gwangju's Fury. His ship was only half the size of the heavy cruisers, but it was twice as fast and carried the new magnetic torpedoes. Captain, his navigator, Lieutenant Yu Hana, reported, "We're getting a priority message from Earth Command." The message was from Admiral Yoon himself. "All ship commanders, this is Admiral Yoon. Our intelligence teams have confirmed that the main Valorian battle fleet is approaching our system. They will arrive in 6 days. This is not a scouting mission or a punishment raid. This is their attempt to destroy humanity completely. We will not give them that satisfaction." Park looked around his bridge at his young crew. Most of them had never been in a real battle before. They were engineers and miners and students who had volunteered to defend Earth. But they had trained hard and they were ready to fight. "You heard the Admiral," Park told his crew. 6 days to get ready. Engineering. I want every weapon system checked and double-checked. Navigation, plot attack courses that will let us hit the enemy from unexpected angles. Communications. Make sure we can talk to every other human ship even if the aliens try to jam our signals. As the days passed, more reports came from Captain Lim's intelligence team. The Valorian fleet was huge beyond imagination. Grand Admiral Thexler Zun commanded over 1,000 warships, including vessels that were 5 kilometers long. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy continents. But the humans also learned something important about their enemy. The Valorians had not fought a real war in centuries. They had crushed rebellions and conquered peaceful species. But they had never faced an enemy that could actually hurt them. Their tactics were old and predictable. They always attacked the same way, Hong Yerin explained to the military commanders. Big ships in a straight line, firing their heaviest weapons until the enemy surrenders. It worked against every other species because those species were not prepared for war. "But we are," said General Song Mi-kyung with a fierce smile. We've been preparing for war since we first looked up at the stars and wondered what was out there. On the 5th day before the alien arrival, Engineer CO finished the last of his new torpedoes. Each one was 3 meters long and filled with the densest metal humanity could produce. When fired from a railgun, they could penetrate any armor the aliens had. "How many did we make?" asked Admiral Yoon when he visited the weapons facility. 2,000 torpedoes, Admiral. Every human ship will have enough to do real damage. And the ships themselves? 450 combat vessels ready for battle. We also have 300 civilian ships that can fight if necessary. Every human in space wants to do their part. Admiral Yoon nodded with satisfaction. When the aliens first demanded humanity's surrender, they probably expected quick victory over a primitive species. Instead, they were about to face the combined might of a race that had never learned how to give up. The final day arrived with news that made everyone's heart race. Long-range sensors detected the Valorian fleet at the edge of the solar system. The alien ship stretched across space like a metal wall. There were so many vessels that they blocked out the stars behind them, but Admiral Yoon was ready. The human fleet was positioned not just around Earth but throughout the solar system. Some ships hid behind asteroids. Others waited near the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. When the aliens came expecting to find all human forces defending Earth, they would instead find enemies attacking from every direction. "This is it," Admiral Yoon announced to every human ship. "Today we find out if one species can stand against an empire. I believe we can. I believe we will. Because we are human, and humans do not surrender." The greatest battle in human history was about to begin. The Valorian fleet arrived at Earth like a storm made of metal and death. Grand Admiral Thexlar Zun commanded over 1,000 warships from his flagship, the Eternal Domination. The massive vessel was 5 kilometers long and carried enough weapons to turn planets into dust. Around it, hundreds of other ships spread across space in perfect formation. "Look at their pathetic defenses," Zun said to his officers as they studied the human fleet. "I count fewer than 500 vessels. Most of them are smaller than our escort ships. This will be over quickly." But Captain Kwon Jae-sung, commanding the human destroyer Busan Thunder, had different ideas. His ship was hidden behind one of Jupiter's moons with 50 other vessels. They waited silently while the alien fleet moved toward Earth. "All ships, this is Admiral Yoon," came the voice over the radio. "The enemy thinks they know where we are. They're about to learn that humans are full of surprises. Attack groups Alpha through Delta. Begin the hunt." Kwon smiled grimly and turned to his crew. "You heard the Admiral. Time to show these aliens what the Busan Thunder can do. All weapons charged?" "Kinetic torpedoes ready, Captain," reported Weapons Officer Lee Soo-young. "The new magnetic warheads are locked and loaded." "Engine room reports full power available," added Engineer. Im Jae-min. The Busan Thunder burst from behind, Jupiter's moon like a shark attacking from deep water. With it came 50 other human ships, all firing their new kinetic torpedoes at the surprised alien vessels. The Valorians had expected all human forces to be defending Earth. They never imagined attacks coming from the outer planets. The magnetic torpedoes worked exactly as Engineer CO had promised. They spun through the alien energy shields like bullets through paper. The first Valorian ship to be hit was a kilometer-long cruiser. 3 torpedoes punched through its hull and exploded inside. The ship broke apart in a chain of explosions that lit up the darkness of space. "Direct hit," shouted Lee Soo-young. "Enemy ship destroyed." But Kwon had no time to celebrate. The alien fleet was turning to face this new threat. Beams of energy began reaching toward the human ships. One beam caught the destroyer Soul's Pride and cut it in half. Kwon watched his fellow humans die and felt the familiar rage that came during battle. "All ships scatter and attack," he commanded. "Don't let them focus their fire on us!" The human vessels spread out like a swarm of angry wasps. They were much smaller than the alien ships, but they were also much faster. The Valorians had built their fleet to fight other large vessels in organized battle lines. Against small, quick enemies attacking from all directions, their formations became a weakness. Meanwhile, at Earth, Admiral Yoon was fighting the main battle. The largest Valorian ships were trying to break through to the planet, where billions of humans lived and worked. But the human defenders had prepared for this moment. "Launch all fighters," Yoon commanded from his flagship, the indomitable Earth. "Every pilot in space. Hold nothing back." Thousands of small human fighters poured out of carrier ships and space stations. They looked like tiny insects next to the massive alien vessels, but insects could kill giants if there were enough of them. The fighters carried the smaller versions of the kinetic torpedoes, and they attacked in coordinated groups. Pilot Squadron Leader No Jin Woo led his fighters directly at the alien flagship. "Remember your training," he told his pilots. "Hit the weapon systems first. If we can stop them from shooting, the big ships can finish them off." His squadron dove toward the eternal domination like birds attacking a giant beast. The alien ships' point defense weapons tried to shoot them down, but there were too many targets moving too fast. The fighters reached the flagship and began firing their small torpedoes at the weapon ports along its hull. Grand Admiral Zun felt his ship shake as explosions rippled across its surface. "How are these primitives hurting us?" he demanded. "Our shields should stop anything they can throw at us." "Admiral," his tactical officer reported in a panicked voice, "their weapons aren't energy-based. They're using solid projectiles with some kind of magnetic acceleration. Our shields are useless against them." For the first time in his long military career, Zun felt fear. The Valorian Empire had conquered the galaxy using energy weapons and energy shields. Every species they had defeated used the same basic technology. But these humans fought with kinetic weapons that made their shields worthless. Back near Jupiter, Captain Quan was leading his attack group toward the heart of the alien formation. The Busan Thunder had taken damage from enemy fire, but its weapons were still working. Around him, other human ships were fighting with desperate courage. "Captain," called Navigator Park Yun-seo, "I'm seeing something strange. The big alien ships in the center. They're not moving to help the others. It's like they don't know how to change their battle plan." Quan looked at his tactical display and realized she was right. The Valorian fleet was fighting like a machine that could only do one thing. When the humans attacked from unexpected directions, the aliens couldn't adapt quickly enough. "All ships focus on the command vessel," Quan ordered. "That big one in the center with all the antennas. If we can kill their communications, they'll be fighting blind." The human attack groups converged on the alien command ship like arrows fired at a target. The vessel was enormous and heavily armed, but it was also slow and predictable. As kinetic torpedoes smashed into its hull, the ship's communication systems began to fail. Across the battlefield, the effects were immediate. Alien ships stopped coordinating their attacks. Some vessels fired at targets their allies were also shooting at, while other human ships escaped because no alien was watching them. At Earth, Communications Officer Im So-young was monitoring alien radio signals when she heard something that made her heart race with excitement. "Admiral Yoon, I'm picking up broadcasts from other star systems. The species the Valorians conquered are rebelling everywhere. They heard about our battle and they're fighting back." Admiral Yoon felt a surge of hope. "Broadcast our position to every frequency," he commanded. "Let the galaxy know that Earth still fights. Let them know that the Valorian Empire can be beaten." Im's message went out across the stars in dozens of languages. "This is Earth Defense Forces. We are humans and we do not surrender. The Valorian Empire told us to kneel, and we told them to go to hell. If your people want freedom, now is the time to take it. The giants can be killed." The message spread from system to system faster than the Valorian commanders could stop it. On conquered worlds throughout the galaxy, oppressed species heard that someone had stood up to the mighty hegemony and won. Rebellions broke out on 100 worlds at once. Back in the battle, Captain Quan saw his chance for a killing blow. The alien flagship was damaged and isolated from its fleet. The Busan Thunder had one torpedo left, and Quan knew exactly where to put it. "Lee Soo-young, target the alien flagship's engine section. We're going to end this. Captain, we'll have to get very close. Their point defense weapons will tear us apart. Then we better be fast. Im Jae-min, give me everything the engines have. One last run." The Busan Thunder accelerated toward the massive alien flagship like a missile seeking its target. Enemy weapons fired at the small ship, and Quan felt his vessel shake as armor was torn away. But the ship held together long enough to reach firing range. "Fire!" Quan shouted. The last kinetic torpedo shot from the Busan Thunder and struck the alien flagship's main engine. The explosion that followed was visible from Earth. The 5-kilometer-long vessel broke apart like a toy hit by a hammer. Grand Admiral Zun and his entire command staff died in the blast. With their flagship destroyed and their communications disrupted, the Valorian fleet began to collapse. Ships that had fought together for centuries suddenly found themselves alone and confused. Human vessels pressed their attacks and more alien ships died in the cold of space. All Valorian vessels, this is Admiral Yoon of Earth Defense Forces, came the broadcast across all frequencies. Your admiral is dead. Your empire is falling apart. Surrender now and we will treat you with mercy. Continue fighting, and we will destroy every one of your ships. The remaining alien commanders looked at their tactical displays and saw the truth. They had come to crush a primitive species and instead had been beaten by creatures who refused to give up. One by one, Valorian ships began to surrender. The Battle of Earth was over. Humanity had faced the mightiest empire in the galaxy and emerged victorious. But more than that, they had inspired others to fight for their freedom. The age of the Valorian hegemony was ending, and a new age of liberty was beginning. Captain Quan, now Admiral Quan after his promotion, stood on the bridge of his new flagship and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, former slaves were building their own fleets and governments. The galaxy would never be the same. "What do we do now, Admiral?" asked his communications officer. Quan smiled. "Now we help our new friends build a better galaxy, one where nobody has to kneel to anyone. The humans have shown what's possible when you refuse to surrender. Now let's see what the galaxy can accomplish when it's truly free." The roar of human triumph echoed across the stars, and freedom followed in its wake.